World War II games were first invented way back in 1938, when Winston Churchill looked out from a plane over France and thought, hey, this would make a really cool video game, whatever one of those is. Today, you can't move for the things. Join us as we parachute you into some of the finest theatres of war on PC, and don't forget to subscribe for more.
We're all citizens of the internet here, so let's be honest with one another. We've all seen tank porn before. As fellow fans of the genre, we're pleased to tell you that Wargaming have put together the best example yet, a frontline exchange of wide-girthed guns and kinetic energy penetrators. We didn't make the penetrator up either. World of Tanks may look simple and arcadey on the surface, but underneath the chassis there's a loud and angry simulation engine. The machines are pulled from real-world history, and you'll soon learn where to press the mighty IS-3 to make it explode, so to speak.
War Thunder. War Thunder's up next. The Second World War was a combined arms effort fought across land, sea, and air, and this multiplayer fighter attempts to capture some of that. Expect seamless combat incorporating historical aircraft and ground forces that encroach into World of Tanks territory. It's the attention to detail that makes it all so captivating. Off the battlefield, you can alter the innards of your planes and tanks to suit your approach, before duking it out in upgradable death machines.
Ooh, imagine the world where all the warships live. The big mummy cruisers sending their little frigates off to school, the aircraft carriers driving to work every morning with a toot of their horn. What? Oh. Sorry, I've just been informed that's not what this is. Stupid name then. It says here that World of Warships is a game of naval combat that's more thoughtful and tactical than its land-based brother, and it's all the better for it. Out on the open sea, there's a new sense of dread and vulnerability. You can't run and hide, you've just got to stick to your plans and hold your nerve. And maybe pray to Poseidon for a direct hit.
Company of Heroes 2 captured the horror of winter warfare, but it never quite hit the high notes of its harrowing predecessor. Relic rectified that with Ardennes Assault, a standalone expansion that's built around a terribly clever dynamic map. The Ardennes region is one big, constantly shifting war zone, with the Germans attempting to lock down as much territory as possible. As the Americans, you've got to force them out bit by bit, keeping your units alive in a campaign that quickly gets bleak and desperate. It's a constant battle, and failure is always nipping at your heels.
Call of Duty 2 was a jolt of electricity to the World War II formula when it launched in 2005. Familiar scenes like the D-Day landings were recreated in frightening detail, with more drama and a tangible sense of personal danger. Despite being a decade old, it stood the test of time thanks to modern trappings like regenerating health and decent squad AI. It really feels like you're leading proper soldiers, with names and everything, rather than just mindless models glued to guns. And with 4 campaigns across 3 theatres, you can't forget you're fighting a global war.
They don't make them like this anymore. The Commandos series has a history longer than Captain Price's moustache, but it never got better than this first sequel. Here you control a group of operatives behind enemy lines, stealing documents, rescuing spies, and blowing up ships. Getting in the way are countless patrols, guards, minefields, and some seriously harsh weather. It's a bastard hard puzzle game, and you need to do plenty of scouting and bad runs before getting through each level. Although it's old, there is one way in which Commandos 2 was ahead of the curve. You've got a dog. He's called Whiskey, and he's lovely. Yeah, Whiskey, Whiskey, Whiskey. Oh no, Whiskey, Whiskey!
The title might scream AC/DC, but Hell's Highway is no rock and roll stomp through World War II's greatest hits. This story is based on the real-life trials of the 101st Airborne Division, and it makes for a traumatizing tactical shooter. Brothers in Arms borrows a cover system from Rainbow Six Vegas, making squad controls smooth and effective. The only way you'll make it through is with well-planned flanking maneuvers and suppressing fire. All the while, the story evokes Saving Private Ryan and Band of Brothers. It's respectful, which is why there was such uproar when Gearbox announced the reboot that looked more like Inglourious Bastards. Best stick to the Borderlands, guys.
Let's step away from the blood and the burst eardrums for a second. Not every depiction of the Second World War is noisy or fast-paced. For the quiet, cold-blooded killers among you, there's nothing quite like submerging yourself in Silent Hunter's naval stealth. Here you can command a U-boat full of German seamen, steady, in wide open missions. You're usually told your target and the location of nearby traffic, but nothing else, leaving you to navigate the Atlantic however you see fit. Eventually you'll sink your torpedoes into the side of a merchant ship, but of course, the most important element of submarine warfare is patience.
Multiplayer shooters used to be concerned only with individual glory, but Battlefield 1942 changed all that, asking players to think in packs. In this metaphor, the Wolfpack drives planes, boats and automobiles all over some of World War II's most dramatic stages. You'll fight together in Iwo Jima and El Alamein. Of course, you can also say bollocks to teamwork and ram a jeep into as many enemies as you can. That sandbox silliness has come to define Battlefield, but for whatever reason the series has never returned to the Second World War on PC. Because of that, 1942 retains a special place in our hearts and on our hard drives.
Order of Battle Pacific takes the intricate wargaming genre and manages to make it approachable, with logical rules and a distinct eye for detail. Each move becomes a problem-solving exercise. Objectives need to be reached quickly with no dawdling. But meandering into a side mission or three could provide bonuses further down the line. Every decision leads to new opportunities and more delicious questions to ponder. It's also the only game on this list that tackles the vital issue of naval transportation, which sounds pretty dry now we say it, but it is somehow just as absorbing as the battles themselves.
Another golden oldie here. This one's nearly grown up enough to leave school and get a job. Il-2 Sturmovik remains one of the best flight sims of all time, however, especially if you're into the military thing. Which, since you're still here, we've worked out you probably are. There are a bunch of campaigns to play in the 1946 package, and by the time you're done, you'll be speeding across the skies effortlessly, pulling off yo-yos like an ace pilot. The missions send you on tense bombing runs and deadly raids, giving you plenty of opportunity for dogfights along the way. Ah, dogs. Got me thinking about whiskey again. Excuse me.
And that's it from us. We're returning to the present day for the time being. Feel free to share your own fond memories from the 1940s in the comments, but pull a flanking maneuver on that subscribe button before you do.